Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one is with Josh from Pampered Pig BBQ in Toronto, Ontario. I am really under the weather right now, but I really wanted to get this out because it's so good. It's over an hour. He's such a fantastic guy. The interview jumps right to me talking to him about Blake Stoker's pimento cheese, referring to his famous Bubba Cole sandwich. So that's why it sounds like we just jump right into something and Josh responds. But then we go into his background, his history. He's super passionate. He just came down for the Troubadour Festival to work with Blake. We get into so many different discussions. I know you're truly going to enjoy this. I can't thank him enough for taking the time. So sit back, relax, enjoy this, and be sure to visit your local barbecue joint. You have Blake's Pimento. Don't you have something on your menu? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't move that well up here. People aren't too familiar,
Yeah,
and the
that makes
people
sense.
that were are like pimento, yes, because everyone knows the pimento sandwiches from Augusta,
Ah,
and so that was, everyone was curious because that's not really a big thing here. Like nowhere in the city you're gonna find pimento cheese
same
on
with
any
Los
sort of
Angeles.
menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so I was like, okay, like, I want to do it as a tribute, but also being at Troubadour last year with them, and we basically served mini Bubba Coles on the saltines. And so, trying a bite of that, I remember the first bite, I just look at him and I'm like, dude, like, it obviously looks incredible, but like, you think about what it is and you're like, okay, it's probably good, but like, I feel like this is, kind of like maybe overhyped a little bit. And I just took one look and I'm like, this has no business being as good as it is. Like, this is one of the best bites I think I've ever eaten.
Oh,
And
that's so
he
great.
was nice enough. Like, I'm still working on a recipe. It's been so hectic where I haven't really had much time to do any sort of R&D really. Just kind of like doing everything from like butchering, cooking, doing all the sides and like service pretty much alone.
Yeah.
So I haven't had too much time for R&D because I've been trying to do something to uh, as a little tribute to Brotherton's
Oh, yeah.
because I was down with them for Texas Monthly last year and was lucky enough to meet John right before
Oh,
everything and was just so kind to giving me kind of the first taste of the true like what the community is all about and
hmm
going to city market and going to all these old school spots and being like, okay, oh, you have to try this. Oh my God, the sauce here. And, kind of welcoming me in with open arms and was lucky enough to at least get to have a weekend with him before
Oh, yeah. Before 2 months
that.
later or a month and a half later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
then and
yeah,
he I think I would say, and I'll keep a lot of this parts in. I'll edit it so it'll be. But John was the epitome of what barbecue's about, and
absolutely.
why I do what I'm doing, and why people don't understand that aren't in my world that think that I do this just because I'm like I want high cholesterol, I eat tons of meat, and just like I'm a big carnivore. Like it's not that. It's I love meat, but I also eat a lot of vegetables. I mix, but it's the people, and getting introduced to a person like you who I'm connected to you because of Blake, because and also because of this where I had heard about you, and then but Blake, he's one of my best friends, and I've never personally even spent time with him, and it's amazing. This world is amazing, and John was he was that person. And what's interesting, I'm going to be I one of my tours. I don't know if you saw the tour for Interstellar, but when
No.
take a look at it. But I'm going to try to do a short from just the pit portion because he talks about one of the pits, and one of the pits he has is John's. And right after
Oh, really?
he made the top 50, well, the number two in the top 50, John said, "You're going to need this pit," and he just brought it over. Like it was just like instinctual. So there's like a once in a lifetime kind of person that exists. It's just yeah,
Yeah, it's just everyone like, oh, you cook barbecue doesn't matter where or what style you're doing.
yeah,
It's you're automatically treated as family because
wild.
no matter what, everyone understands the grind. Everyone
hmm
understands the early mornings and all the frustrations. And
Yeah,
I went there after visiting Kyle at Roll and Smoke when I was down for TM Fest last year, and you
yeah.
just walk in and like the second you walk through those doors, you just like the feeling that you get. You look around at the walls and just the smell, and you just all like immediately get a sense of all the history and
Yeah,
everything that's went down there. And it's such an incredible place.
I
And
know.
I've always said if I ever open a brick and mortar in Toronto, that's kind of the vibe that I want. Like
Like
some
Louis
places
Miller.
here, yeah,
Yeah.
some place that pays tribute to all the history
hmm
and all the old school joints, not trying to kind of make it
Hmm.
into something. It's not trying to make it too fancy, like just, you know, kind of honor the past and how
Hmm.
everything started.
Yeah, and you don't have to have all the bells and whistles to make it special. It's just that creaky door that you open and get and the way the
Yeah,
light, the shadows, and it's just and it's the pits and everything. Yeah, it was, and I
yeah.
only
Just
went.
give me a bare bones building and
Yeah.
just
Oh,
pits
cool.
inside, smoky. That's it.
Yeah. What's your path? What was did your path involve food at all?
No, so it's kind of pretty random. I started out, I was in events. I briefly worked for Live Nation in like sponsorship,
Oh, wow.
doing some music festivals. And then I got into working for a mortgage company. I was working with one of the big banks here, not quite the underwriting side, but just making sure that everything was sort of put together on time so people's mortgages could go through. And then I went to a private lender and for a few years went back to managing events.
Wow.
Was just not happy sitting in front of a computer. It wasn't for me. I ended up leaving and I was unemployed for 8 or 9 months, just being like, I'm not just jumping into the next job until like I'm going to find something that, I actually love and enjoy doing and that I'm going to be happy doing.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting the smallest size Traeger out there because being in Toronto, not a whole lot of space. Everything's pretty dense and
Yeah.
packed tight. So uh, ended up started doing like a few ribs and pork butts and completely fell in love with the process. Like I'd always, eaten barbecue and loved it, but never really gave my hand in cooking it. And I was always the guy that would, oh, it's dinner time. All right, we're going Uber Eats. Like, constantly either, eating out or ordering in, not really cooking too much at home. And immediately just fell in love with the process
Uh,
from like, the butchery and just so therapeutic. Like, taking something, especially with brisket, taking like a full packer brisket
yeah.
that is sometimes butchered terribly. And you just
Terribly.
look at it and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? And taking that to then seeing the finished product, just completely fell in love with it.
Wow.
And that's when I was kind of doing that in the backyard for 2 months, and then started scooping size at Adamson's. And then a month into it, after I was like getting a little bit more comfortable with actually cooking in the backyard, sent a DM on Instagram to Cherry Street, just asking if they needed help in the
To
pit.
Lawrence or just
Yeah, and yeah, after about a week later, I met with him, and a week later, I was cutting online just to learn the cutting side of it first.
yeah.
And a couple weeks later, was in the pit. Then COVID happened, and I got let go for a month because everything was kind of shut down. Brought back. I had maybe 4 or 5 overnight shifts with the other pitmaster who's still there, Kyle Nixon,
Okay.
who is a phenomenal cook, and I will die on the hill that you put him down in Texas with some of the best brisket pullers in the game. He can hold his own.
Wow, that's good to hear.
He pulls a fantastic brisket and is a hell of a cook. And so I had a few overnights with him, and then just got thrown into it, which was amazing and terrible at the same time
It's
because
scary.
you have all this pressure, especially during COVID when everything is so slow. So you're really relying on all these caterings, and things need to go smoothly. The food needs to be good because you need to get that repeat business during that slow time.
How was that first
Being
night by yourself? Like how?
I am shocked I kept my job that first 2 months. It wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't up to standard. And loving it as much as I did, I was furious with myself. Where I would basically get home, doing the morning shift from 3 a.m. till like 11:30. I'd get home and I would sit on the computer for the next 6, 7 hours, just like listening to this podcast, hearing everyone else's stories, being like, okay, you know what, like no, just keep your head down, like
Yeah.
keep going, and just researching how everyone sort of did things, trying to find my own groove.
What do you think you were doing wrong? Like, can you pinpoint back if you look back as to what you think you
Uh,
were doing wrong?
at the beginning, it was just so hectic. We still had so much going on, but we were basically running on a skeleton crew.
Mhm.
So I was trying to get too much done in the morning where I wasn't paying enough attention to the fire. So I'd get back, and we use an oiler, which already is pretty forgiving with in terms of fire management.
Yeah.
And I'd come back and realize that, oh, I, put one log on too many, or, this log was
Uh,
too big, and, my temperatures were flaring, or my flame was too high, and certain things were getting a little charred on the outside, and just not able to see it coming. And so you're just, everything was very reactionary,
uh,
and doing it at 4 in the morning when no one else is there.
yeah.
This is like the one bad part was you have no one to ask. So you're just hoping that it's going to be okay. But to that point, that was also what was kind of amazing about it, because it very quickly kind of forces you to figure it out. You
Hmm.
have no one to ask. So it's, you have that brief moment of panic, and then you're just like, okay, need to figure this out. And it's, after a few months of just trying different things of different size logs, eventually, you understand how to read a fire, and that started falling into place. And then probably about 6 months in, when it was like, okay, we're like comfortable, and then it like, the product started getting better, more consistent, and then probably a year in was when it was like, all right, we're good, we're off to the races, like, no real big surprises anymore.
Were you getting any feedback from ownership or other, or Kyle or anybody else? Where,
uh I mean, we had our shifts overlapped maybe by 20 minutes, and it was there was still so much that when he would get in, it would be right to butchering briskets to get those seasoned, and then immediately pulling the briskets and the pork butts and everything. So he didn't have much time to really see the product. And I mean, I won't get too into my issues with Cherry Street ownership, but we butt heads a lot, and there wasn't there wasn't a whole lot of support, just a whole lot of sort of being talked down to and being told
okay.
that like you need to do better,
Yeah.
but no guidance on what to do better.
On how to do
Like
better.
I
Yeah.
yeah, like I remember once, so they don't wrap the ribs there. We just have it unwrapped straight through the cook, but he wanted it where, you had that about inch and a little bit of the bone showing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, we're going to start wrapping ribs. So I'm like, okay. And so, typically when you're changing up cooking styles, especially if the owner is saying that he's the pit master, they're going to show you what they mean,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
going to train you. I had to sit halfway through one of my shifts and watch the Aaron Franklin masterclass to to see how to wrap ribs and to do it properly, which was kind of the moment where I
Yeah.
kind of lost a little bit of respect for it, of being like, okay, if you can't even show me, kind of whatever, I'll just
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of do my own thing, kind of find my own method. But I mean, I immediately after probably a few weeks just stopped wrapping them, because on an oiler you can get the same effect. If you have your ribs right in front of where the opening is to the firebox, the same thing is going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't have to wrap them at all,
I
and
don't
as
think
long
I've
as you
ever
manage your
seen
fire
anybody
well.
wrap them on an oiler. So that's
Yeah, no, it's
nothing
so
I,
efficient and so like so clean that like you really don't need to. So
yeah.
immediately stopped, and never sort of got a commented or anything. I don't think you ever noticed. So I mean, I'll probably listen to this and
So at what point were you always with the mindset that I'm going to go on my own and do something? Is that kind of, you're just going to get your
yeah,
shot?
I had always wanted to have my own place, just able to cook the things that I wanted to cook, run the specials that I wanted to.
Yeah.
It was always kind of a toss up between like if I, have to stay in Canada, that was the route. But I've always felt out of place here. Like I
Huh.
listen to country music. I'm very much like, like just being outdoors away from, the hustle and bustle of the city.
Yeah.
Hate that, Toronto's all just like cookie cutter glass condos, and there's no real, culture around the city.
Yeah.
And so I've always wanted to either be in Nashville or Texas. Uh,
I get it.
and in I think 2022, uh, Yeah, I think Blake opened at the Mill 2022 or 23. I think 22.
22, I think you're right.
Um, and so I had reached out to him asking if he needed help in the pit. 'Cause he was one of the first people that I ever followed. We hadn't talked a crazy amount, just like little things here and there. And I had, asked if he needed help in the pit, and immediately was like, yes. And I had also uh, been down to Nashville and was at Shotgun Willie's and speaking to Bill, and same thing, being like, do you need anyone? And this was in 2023, and he was like, yeah, if you can get a visa, come on down. And I was
Whoa.
been working on it for a while, trying to get down, and it's just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon.
Really? Is
So
it because of the visa situation?
yeah,
Huh.
it's tough. I mean, yeah, it's just been impossible. Haven't been able to get
Wow.
any sort of traction with finding a visa, because ideally that's still
Yeah.
like,
Do you need
if I
do you need
had,
to get a sponsor for that reason? Like, would you have to have a sponsor or something?
yeah,
Or
I mean, Bill at Shotgun Willie said, he would, and just, was
Mhm.
very nice. After I hadn't even met him in person. I had met, I can't remember his pitmaster's name, but I spoke to him, and I
Yeah.
just talked to Bill on the phone for probably an hour when I was waiting for my flight in the airport to go home. And, he was very nice and was like, whatever you need me to do, you just let me know
Mhm.
and I'll do it. And so had, that sort of person to sponsor,
Yeah.
but there's only like 5,000 that they give away for the
Oh.
visa that would be needed. And like, I think being a pitmaster is a specialized skill. In every, outside of Texas, in every state, there's only, probably a few people that can do it to
Yeah, I
the
agree.
same standard. And they, whoever is in charge of the visas apparently doesn't think the same way,
You need to
because
get them
that's,
to come eat your food or something.
yeah, it's like, that's saved for artists. And it's like, oh, so you're a DJ, okay, you can get one of those. And it's like, how, like, is that really a specialized skill anymore? Everyone's a DJ.
You and I could be DJ. Yeah. No offense to the DJs listening to this, to the two DJs that have been listening to this, but no, but seriously, that's ridiculous. Can you come? Because when I lived in Japan, and you could stay 3 months before I got a visa, and I'd go to Korea and then come back, and then it renew. Then you can stay for another 3 months. I don't know how many times you could do that. Is that something? Can you?
Yeah, I think it's either 3 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Because I had lived in Atlanta in 2013 for a
Oh,
an internship when I was still in school, and spent the summer there, no problems. Mind you, it wasn't paid, so it's a little bit easier. I'm not sure the rule about if you're actually being paid for your work, but I mean,
oh,
I Blake and I are actually going on a little uh, Texas trip in end of December, early January,
oh, nice.
and then we're going down to Nashville for to see a concert. And so I'm planning on. He doesn't know this yet. I'm planning on going down a little bit early and just going and helping out in the pit and working and
Oh, cool.
just doing it for free, trying to fly a little under the radar.
Nice. Hey, that's really cool. So, so going back to it, you started following Blake, and you started following Blake and Shotgun Willie. Did you at that time then? Did you buy yourself a pit, or had you gotten yourself a pit, or
No,
how?
not yet. I was at the point at Cherry Street where I wasn't really learning anything new there. And so I'd kind of gotten everything that I could out of it. So I was trying to figure out the next steps. But I was kind of trying to put all my eggs in the basket of heading
Yeah.
down there. So that was kind of my only thought. And after it was about a year and a half, and no sort of headway on anything.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, I had left Cherry Street at that point and was went to a spot here called Porchetta and Co., which does like porchetta and fried chicken.
Oh,
And like, learned a ton about making
yeah.
sauces, and it was great experience. Worked with a lot of really good chefs. Uh, but it got to a point where it's like, okay, we need to figure out how to, if the visa's not going to come through, what's the plan to, you know, pivot back into barbecue? Because you know, leaving Cherry wasn't supposed to be an exit, and I
Yeah.
was away for longer than I would have liked. Um, and it was right before Christmas, and I just pulled the plug, put a deposit down.
This last
Didn't,
Christmas.
yeah, yeah, didn't put any sort of thought into, okay, where am I going to park it? Because I live in a condo in Toronto. Where am I going to park it? Where am I going to cook out of? Because I can't cook at home. I have two cats that just are absolute menaces and are all over anything. So can't do a single thing at home. And kind of put down the deposit, and then it was like, okay, we need to figure this out and figure it out fast.
But
And
so then prior to that, let's just jump back. So prior to that, you went to Troubadour, right? Or you went to the
yeah,
Texas
yeah,
Monthly Barbecue Festival in Lockhart.
right after I quit Cherry, the next weekend I went down to Troubadour with Blake's, and he put together a hell of a team for that one. We had Dave from Burt Bean, Kyle from Roland Smoke, Cole Parkman was with us. Um, Amber, she was on Next Level Chef
Oh yeah, yeah.
on that show, and it was great. And then of course Blake, and then you had me, the lone Canadian there. And it was a crazy experience. My very first time in Texas, and immediately just felt at home. And it was
Yeah.
like that was very justifying, and the decision of like, okay, like yes, this is always sort of where you want it to go. It's the heart of barbecue, and all the history and everything. But then actually being there was like, felt so at home. Everyone was so welcoming.
Yeah,
Like
and it's a
still,
cool event. It's one of the best events there is.
it is so much fun. Like, you go and you're just nonstop cutting for like 4 or 5 hours, and then all right, let's go and enjoy some music,
Oh,
and just everyone having a good time. Like it's just fantastic. And then 2 weeks, I'm not sure if it was the next weekend or 2 weekends after, was TM Fest. And Bobby Holly was the him and Blake were the two first people that I actually talked to in barbecue.
uh-huh.
Bobby and I talked a little bit more, just he was doing the mornings at the time. And so he would always, post his ribs, and I'd comment. Back then, I was still trying to get mine. They were like good, but not like, some of the ribs that they're putting out, you're like, that looks perfect.
Yeah.
Like there's not a smidge of like seasoning missing. Like it's just so consistent. And so I would always, ask him questions. And, to his credit, he had no idea who I even was back then. I was just some random guy from Canada. And, we kept in touch, and I had messaged him if they needed a hand. And immediately it's just like, yeah, come on down.
Oh,
And that was my first time actually meeting him. And him, Blake, I mean, you know, John, Bill Dumas, some of the nicest people. And, you know, between John, Bobby, and Blake, was lucky enough to work with, I think, the three nicest people in
yeah.
barbecue. No shade to anybody else,
Yeah, yeah.
but
But
they're just so kind and were so welcoming to, someone where they could have just said, they screw
yeah,
off.
just be
Like,
nice. Yeah.
yeah.
That so then that was because that was a couple weeks later. And then so that still kind of solidified the fact that, it's worth putting. Well, I don't even know what type of pit you got. Who did you get a pit from?
So there's a company here in Alberta called Old Soul Barbecue
Hmm.
Co. And so they started off predominantly doing just backyard pits. And I think the one that he built for me, was the second or third commercial size that he ever did.
Oh,
Um, it is crazy. I had basically cooked on Oilers, and we had a reverse flow Lang.
yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, you're used to kind of the safety of the Oiler. And then, my first time cooking on the Old Soul pit was for my first pop up. Didn't have any sort of
Really?
like, let's get used to where the hot spots are on this. Let's,
Mhm.
get used to how it holds a fire. It is the most efficient pit I've ever used.
Wow.
Even if I go down there, I will always go back to him for whatever pits I need. He did a phenomenal job.
Wow.
everyone that's used it. I've used a few other uh builders here, and they're all great, but it's crazy how efficient. Like I'll be cooking
I'll
at
put
like,
a link to his stuff below. That's great. Good to hear.
yeah, no, it's really good. And now he started doing a little bit more. He actually did the same one as I got, just without the Santa Maria for Brent, the old Adamson pitmaster in Alberta,
Oh,
and just
cool.
did 1,000 gallon for him as well. So it's starting to grow a little bit,
Oh,
but it
cool.
is a
Okay.
phenomenal pit.
But that's a big investment and it's a big commitment that
It
this is and especially like how did you figure out a place to did you find a lot or something or how did
Yeah, luckily there's a few storage facilities near me. I'm in an area where it's a lot of the film studios in the city are here, so it's there's a little bit of space, and I saw a food truck in this one storage facility, and so I was like, okay, well, if they store a food truck,
yeah.
they're gonna, the health department here considers a smoker a food truck, just because it's mobile and you cook on it. So food truck,
Interesting. There we go.
which
Yeah.
sure, guys.
It
So
sounds good to me.
it was, yeah, got really lucky that it's a 7 minute drive from my house.
Oh, cool.
But it's outdoors, a code to get in and out. So it's been pretty safe there. Haven't really had
Yeah.
any sort of scares or anything. But yeah, kind of cut that. I got the confirmation that I actually had the spot, I think 3 days before I picked up the smoker. And then the morning that I got it was like, oh, it's a trailer. I need a license plate. And so on the way to pick it up, I stopped by Service Ontario, which is, where they process everything, and got one 5 minutes before they closed.
Uh,
It was a learning curve.
yeah,
Let's just call it that.
but it was meant to be obviously because it was 5 minutes before. So, things happen the way they happen. And I don't know anybody that hasn't threaded the needle on things in life. So it kind of, that's the way it went.
Yeah,
That's it.
no, it was. I mean, yeah, I'm a procrastinator to begin with, so if my back's not up against the
Yeah.
wall,
Same with me.
something it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's work. I think I work better when I'm under that kind of pressure.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, I'm just gonna put it off, and then it's just gonna happen anyways. So
Yeah, then it's just gonna be another stressful situation. But no, so what was that moment like? Because haven't asked anybody like, when you picked it up, was that an amazing moment
it
to
was
actually
surreal because for so long, you have this idea in your head. I want to do my own pop-ups. I want to do my own thing, have my own spot. And even, putting the deposit, it still never really sunk in. Like it wasn't real. And then as soon as the shipping company pulls it around the corner and, I'm hooking it up to the truck, it was like, okay, we're doing this. And then it's like, I've never driven a trailer before. How am I going to park this?
yeah, and backing up a trail. I don't know if you had to back it up, but there's like a certain art to
I
backing.
I had to in between. There were cars that are parked at the storage facility, so
Oh
I had
wow.
to really couldn't just kind of drive forward and reverse straight. I had
Yeah.
to learn very quickly,
Yeah. It's like opposite of
which
what your brain thinks. Like I have a friend who could like back a boat into anything. And because his brain he's done it since he was a kid, but it's just crazy. Like my brain, yeah, it's backwards, right? It's kind of like I don't
yeah,
know,
you have to if you want to
counterintuitive.
go right, you have to go left,
Hmm.
and it's yeah, you'll be going straight, and you think okay, yeah, it's straight, so the trailer should go straight. If you're even like if you're not perfectly straight, it's
Yeah.
gonna turn,
Yeah.
and then you're hitting the car next to you. So it
Yeah.
was very stressful the first couple of days, but
Wow. Did you already
now
have
we've
some
got it.
places in line? Like, did you have like a couple breweries that you knew that would accept you or?
Yeah, I had reached out. There's one near me called Black Lab, which they have the best beer in Toronto.
Oh, cool.
Everything, like the staff there is so great. At this point, like it half feels like I work there, half feels like we're all just family. Um, Everything that they give you, you're like, oh, I don't typically drink IPAs, and it's like, oh, well, just try it. You try it, and you're like, okay, no, this is like I hate this beer, but I love your version of it. Like
Wow.
everything that they have is just phenomenal.
Oh,
And
that's
so
great to hear.
I had reached out to them, and I was just a guy that had just left Cherry Street, being like, "Hey, I want to do a pop up." They had never seen my food; they had never eaten it, and they already do a revolving menu of pop ups. So they'll have someone Saturday, Sunday, then the next week someone different. And so at first they were like, we did once a month or every other week, and I was already jumping at that. I'm like, yes, perfect.
Yeah.
I have 2 days of service covered. Okay, I can find somewhere else for the other two, or if we want to just sort of ease into it. And the next day they got back to me being like, so we just had a staff meeting. Everybody knows Cherry Street and loves it, and we all love barbecue. So what if we did barbecue Fridays and did it every week? And so I was like, yes, like that is,
Yeah, you're funny.
the perfect thing that could possibly happen, before you've actually served anything, to basically
Yeah.
have your entire summer covered. So it was like great. And we were just out on the back patio. I'd do my brisket cook when I was prepping all my sides the day before, get everything in the warmer. I'd pull up to the brewery at like 5, 6 a.m. before their staff were even there, where they'd get in, their brewmaster would get there in the morning. He'd be on his bike and I'm already like halfway done my cook. He'd just pull up and be like, oh hey,
So
and
can you cook? Can
unlock
you
the
cook on
back.
site then? A little bit on site there?
Yeah. Yeah. I would just kind of pick up all my ribs and everything from the prep kitchen, drive it down, get the smoker set up, and put out my little foldy table, start seasoning, and try to get it on there as quick as possible.
So this is you're talking about. This is this summer, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I just started May 17th was the first pop up.
Okay.
And
Just
then it got kind of crazy at the beginning, where I basically had to tell Porchetta, the restaurant that I was working at, like I was still there 3 to 4 shifts a week. And I was like, I do not like I can't handle it. Like I'm gonna have zero like time to even breathe. Like I gotta, step back for a couple
yeah.
weeks and just focus on this. And it was like May was great, June was crazy, July kind of slowed down, and then from August till like last week has been relatively slow, which has been kind of surprising. You think
Mhm.
people, kids are back in school, no one's going up to their cottages here or anything, so it
Yeah.
should kind of pick back up, and it's kind of stayed relatively slow, but now it seems to be picking back up again.
Well, so are you only pop because I when I was going through your website, uh, do you pop up somewhere else too, or is it just
Yeah,
at
I just started uh, a new brewery in Toronto's distillery district, which is like kind of the historic, like all of the
oh
old distilleries were in this one little area.
oh
So a new brewery went in, and it's a great space. They have a little shipping container inside so they just, same with Black Lab, host revolving pop-ups. And so my first one there was 3 weeks ago.
okay.
And so I've been there, like I've been at Black Lab every Friday and alternating between Saturday and Sunday at the new spot called Old Flame. And it's great. It should be really good going into the winter. Uh, in that area, they do one of those like big Christmas markets.
Oh,
So, and it gets crazy popular, like hundreds and hundreds of people. So
I don't think they do
should be
anything
nice.
like that in the United States. I've seen them like in Europe. I've watched like YouTube things where they show
I've
them.
actually seen one in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, cool. That's good to
They
know. It's not
they
that
had
close,
one.
but
Yeah,
but it's closer
no,
than going to somewhere in Germany or something. But
yeah,
because
no,
places like
they're great.
in Europe are just wild. Like it looks pretty amazing. Like it's just looks very festive and interesting.
Yeah, no, they're really, when they're done well, they're really cool.
Yeah.
In Toronto, we tend to take things that could be great and ruin them by
Oh,
just going straight capitalism with it, and just charging an arm and a leg. Oh, you want like a cup of cider? Okay, that's going to be $12. It's like,
oh,
okay, this is insane. It's something that you just accept. Like you go to any sporting event, a beer for a large beer is almost $30.
that's
So it's
crazy.
just,
Yeah.
that's just how
But that's
Toronto
kind of
is.
yeah. But like if you went to a Dodger game here, you get like the hot dog. I remember like the Dodger dogs, which are like these longer hot
Oh
dogs.
yeah,
Yeah, but they'd be like $3 or $2, I think. But now I bet you it's like eight, nine. Right in the comments below, let me know. But I think it's probably close to 10. Yeah, and the
Yeah, no,
beers
it's like crazy.
and the beers too. I know that the beers at a lot of sporting events in the United States, because I was friends with a guy like a Budweiser rep, they're definitely they're less percentage. Like they lower the percentage so that way people have to drink more and they can't get as
Mhm.
drunk, but people still do because they drink like 10 of them.
Yeah.
But it does like but a giant one, yeah, it's probably like 20 to 25. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah,
It's
that's
yeah, you go to a game and you're like, I am spending
yeah.
$150 just on a couple of drinks and a $10 slice of pizza.
Yeah. Though I saw something like a post on Twitter, something that showed like how much a bottle of water costs, like if you bought a whole sleigh, like just like at a small place to all the different things to a sporting event. And it was just crazy how prices like for specific things are so much different. But
It's
also
yeah,
too,
it's wild.
yeah, but then okay, so there's a Christmas market. So that'll be, will you be in that same area or right off the side of that or within?
It's kind of around the corner,
Oh,
but the
perfect.
whole distillery area is open, so everyone's walking around. And
Cool.
then they have the market where they have these little wooden huts that you can get hot chocolate and all those sort of novelty things.
Yeah.
But all the businesses are open, so
Oh, good.
it's very very busy. So I'm gonna try to brave the winter as hopefully
Yeah.
it's a mild one.
Yeah.
Gonna try to brave it for as long as possible and
Yeah.
do it because it that should be very very good.
And you could
Or
have cider
looking
for
forward to that.
$2. That's cider.
Yeah, right. I mean, one of the perks of popping up in breweries is you're basically drinking for free.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
mean, I give constantly throughout service. If it's ever slow for a second and I just want to cut something, I'll just cut stuff for the staff and I'll feed them
Cool.
throughout the night.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little trade off. But you're always just you always have a glass full of beer. So
That's
that is
nice.
that is very nice.
That's not terrible at all. That's well, I want to
No,
talk like I want to talk about first off too. So then as your relationship, how did your relationship with Blake, like I know how mine, I'm assuming your relationship with Blake, and we're talking about for people that might not know, Blake Stoker, and it's he had Blake's barbecue, but now it's Blake's at Southern Milling in Martin, Tennessee. How did that foster? And then I want to talk about your menu too. I don't want to miss that because I want to make sure we talk about what you offer.
yeah. So after Troubadour, that was our first time actually meeting in person.
Yeah.
I got there a little bit early, and so I met up with him. He had just finished. I can't remember where he was at, but he was at some other joint. We had met up at Hurtado just to chat a little bit. He was saying hi to some of the guys there. I was just in full like, oh my god, I'm here.
I'm here.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna run inside. I'm gonna get a hat. I'll be right back. And we spent the weekend together, drank a whole lot of Topo Chico ranch waters, and after that, kept in touch. Where now if not every day, every other day, we're talking a little bit,
Yeah.
and you know, the nicest, like, kindest soul that
Yeah.
I've probably ever met. Like, just
I
such a
agree.
genuinely nice guy, um, and always so supportive. Like when I told him that I wanted to do pimento on the menu as a little tribute to him, I'm like, hey, I obviously know, kind of what goes into it, but like, it was basically like, this is what I'm doing. Can you just steer me in the right direction? And, he obviously didn't have to do this. He's like, I'll do you one better. Here's the recipe.
That's
And
amazing.
that,
That's huge.
kind of just talks to the type of person he is as
Yeah.
well, where
Hmm.
it's like, and I'm like, I'm going to call it Blake's Pimento. Like, I'm not trying to take credit. And you're just like, I
Yeah,
don't
he's
care.
just
Like,
the best. And he really is the best, and he really cares about what he's doing. And a
mhm.
lot of people don't know how hard he works too. He is just a
He's
demon.
always, yeah, still like, in the pit super early. Like he's
Yeah.
at the restaurant every day.
Yeah.
Where there was a certain point we were talking, and I was trying to get him to come up here to help with a pop up one week, which he was down for. And then we're like, he shared his schedule with me, and we're looking, and it's like you don't have a day off
Yeah.
between like going to a few concerts or like other you know barbecue festivals. Like he was at Windy City.
Hmm.
I think helping out Hurtado. But
And his sister
you
had
know,
a wedding
between
this weekend. Like it's been a lot. He's
yeah,
got.
he's like he works.
Mhm.
Like no one can say
Yeah.
that Blake Stoker does not work hard.
Yeah.
He's
And his food looks spectacular, and the restaurant looks spectacular. That is
it is so nice.
so worth some.
I want to check it out so badly because the inside of it looks like they did such a good job with it.
Yeah, and I watched. I don't know if you were close with him during the construction period, but he was sending me a lot of videos and pictures, and I love the process of anything. I love building. I love that, and so
Mhm.
it was neat to see what it was and then what it became. It's just, yeah, I would like. I would like to work there, so that would be, or for like a week or something. I would work for free. I would just because it's
Hey,
so,
well, end
yeah.
of February, I'm going down.
Hey,
Hop
maybe
on a
yeah.
flight, come meet me down there. Let's go.
Okay, yeah, let's. If I can, I swear I will. I will do my best. That would be a lot of fun. No, I'm just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably January-ish. I might be moving to Oregon, so that's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my goal is to get like just like you. I'm a kindred spirit. It's a city. I'm not. This is not me. This is too much
Yeah.
concrete, too many people. It's too much noise. I just want to be somewhere more with more nature and people that are kind of chill and just kind of, and I'll be closer to,
Yeah.
I'll be like, if I live in Bend, which I might, I'd be like an hour from, or like 2 hours from grasslands. And then
Their stuff looks phenomenal.
so good.
That's something every time that one of those platters pops up, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to figure out a way to go spend a weekend in Oregon
Yeah,
because
you
I
do.
need to try that food.
You do. And it's just where it is it's idyllic. It's just it's such a magical little place. And I seriously, when I drove from Portland, I took my mom. We ended up when we were in grasslands, we were 1,000 miles, exactly 1,000 miles away from home. And we're
Oh,
driving in
geez.
from Portland to Hood River. I saw two bald eagles. I saw there's a
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
giant, the Columbia River is right next to you. These massive trees. You go by these. There's at least one of the most picturesque waterfalls you could ever imagine on all of Oregon is right under rains. It's amazing.
That sounds like heaven.
It
Like
is, yeah.
that's just perfection right
Yeah.
there.
And I know like those, and the guys are super cool, but they were super stressed. The weekend that I got there, they had like two big caterings plus Daniel Vaughn showed up, and I
I was
was
gonna say, yeah, and that was unplanned, right? Like you guys
no, completely,
just
yeah.
happened to be there at the same
Uh-huh.
time, which
I got,
is
yeah, it was crazy. It was funny too because I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I gotta get here before Daniel. I want to get to one place in my before Daniel gets here. And like, so I came the night before and I got like they had brisket melts and their burger, and it was really great in some sides. And then the next morning, I pull up and I like shit because he's standing there and I'm like shit. He beat me, but he had beat me. But he's like I got here first. I'm like, well, I was here yesterday. And so he's like, I'm first in line. I'm like, well, I guess I'm second in line. That's but no, it was yeah, that was completely unplanned. That was wonderful. But no, that would be fun. So maybe February. So let's jump into because I could just like this is like talking to a friend. I can talk to you for 2 more hours.
yeah.
But I do actually in like 20 minutes. I need to help my mom. She needs to take a shower, so she has a physical therapy tomorrow. So, but um, and I'm sorry again, but like I'm like thinking like, what kind of cats does he have that have to up all night? Because my mom.
Oh, they'll jump on anything, any dresser that you have, doesn't matter what it is. If there's something on top of it
And
at
that's
three in the
do
morning,
they
four
do
in the
that?
morning, yeah, they're gonna sit there, they're gonna look at you and slowly do it. And then when you say don't is when they just knock it
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
So it's
yeah. I
never
had a
ending.
I had a cat though. I had a cat when I was married. He was really cute, an orange cat, but he would unscrew light bulbs and fucking nuts. And then he would jump and flick the light switch. And so
No.
the lights would go on and off in places throughout the night. And we'd be like, this place is super haunted. Like there's something going on. And then I went to pee one night and I was like out of the corner of my eye, I looked over and I saw him do it. I'm like, that little shit.
Yeah, they like,
Yeah.
love them, but
Yeah.
they can be absolute menaces.
Yeah. People don't realize they're like, because, and especially if they're indoor. Yeah. They just kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
so
also,
I thought you were just supposed to nap all day. Like,
yeah,
what
that's
is
what they
this? Like,
that's what the pictures you're like, yeah, you nap, or if you get a dog, they nap with the dog, they fight for like 2 seconds, like play around and then sleep. No, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
like, can you just relax for a second? Like,
mischievous. It's funny when I yeah, it's funny because when I talk to I'm posting Gabe at Ricewood Barbecue. Um,
Oh yeah.
I'm posting his tonight or tomorrow, but his cat like walked in front. He has four cats, so four cats and one dog. I can't believe it. And his wife's pregnant. I'm like, you're in trouble. But
Oh yeah,
his cat
that's
walked across, and then when I was talking to Aaron Fegis and Chris Shepard, he has two cats, two red one, and one of them like kept walking across, and I was like, yep, they don't care. They just
oh
leave
yeah.
it
See,
alone.
I ended up going. I'm at my mom's place right now. She's
You're
out to
smart.
dinner, so I'm like, okay, I'm going over there. I know it's going to be quiet.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
cool.
earlier her dog is downstairs, and I'm sure you could hear that in the background a little bit.
I
But
heard something,
yeah,
and
I'm
I'm like,
like,
I thought it was your cat. Okay.
yeah, no, I'm like, I am not dealing because they would just stand right here the entire time. I'm like, I'm not dealing with that right now.
Which would be funny, but not good for your first, second time, second
Yeah,
interview would be
right.
funny. Let's talk about in tailoring your menu. Did you have what was your concept? Did you want to do strictly Texas style with a twist, or how did you? What was your?
I mean, I wanted to like no matter what, I change the menu every week so that there's always
Oh,
something different. If you're gonna come every week, like if I do chicken in back-to-back weeks, it's different flavors. Like I've done jerk chicken a lot. Last year, I or last week, I did shawarma spice chicken.
oh, cool.
This week, I'm just doing a lemon pepper. But it's always if it's the same menu item, it's always going to be a different flavor week to week. Um, and there are things, like brisket, where that's obviously going to be a mainstay. Like you can't
Yeah,
be Texas barbecue without brisket.
yeah.
My ribs, I take some leeway with. I have them every week. It's just not. I have my traditional salt, pepper, and a few other things on there, and then I have my rib rub, which is kind of completely different flavors. So I like to say, Canadian made, Texas inspired.
Okay.
We're not really calling myself Texas barbecue. Because the only thing that really falls under your classic Texas barbecue would be when I do turkey breast or my brisket. Everything else is kind of off the beaten path a little bit.
Okay.
And wanting to, respect the history. Like, I can't say that I'm, Texas barbecue. Uh, but I mean, everything like the only change I've really had when I do ribs, I did like gochujang glaze one week, which was I had
Oh,
a few Koreans come out, and so I'm like, okay, give me your honest opinion.
yeah.
Like, let me know because if you're doing something, it's you don't want to do it just to do it, especially when it's you're trying to you know honor another culture that you like and respect, and use their
Yeah.
flavors. You want it to actually be good. Like when I did the jerk chicken, one of the bartenders is dating a Caribbean woman at the brewery, and I'm like, okay, honest feedback. Like, did she like it? And she's like, no, it's like it's good. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, good. I can keep that recipe. I'm not going to tweak it anymore, and
Yeah.
I'll keep doing it. Um, but I pretty much change like do the Texas Twinkies like every week. I share kitchen space with a sausage producer here,
Oh,
and so which is pretty lucky because they have like 10 to 15 different
that's
flavors on the go each week. So every week it's something different. It's all right. What's fun and exciting. I've been doing one the past 3 weeks that I just fell in love with, and I'm like, this is until you come up with something new that's kind of even more imaginative. This is the thing. It's like cremini mushroom, Emmentaler cheese,
whoa.
and sun-dried tomato and a pork sausage, and the flavors are just phenomenal.
I used to work in the cheese world. That not a lot of people use Emmental. That's a very
It,
good
it
melted
it's
cheese.
yeah, no, it's great. I took one bite of it, just being like, I need to know what it tastes like if I'm going to sell it. If someone has questions, and I immediately took two more and put them off to the side and being like, these are for me later because they're just that good.
Ah, that's so great. So do you then you purchase them from them? Is that like in the raw form and then
Yeah,
you
I get it.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
wholesale. They
cool.
usually just leave them off to the side for me because we share a walk-in together,
Oh, that's so
and then I'll just
ideal.
bring them down. Yeah, no, it's kind of perfect. And you know, only being a pop-up, I don't go through enough trim right now to justify making sausage, nor
Yeah.
do I actually have the means of production. Haven't really talked to them about using
Yeah.
their stuff yet. So it's kind of a perfect situation of I want to have a
Yeah.
rotating sausage list going. Perfect. You do a rotating list of sausages.
That's weird. What a weird coincidence. That's
Yeah, just randomly like, wasn't trying to, share
uh,
space with them originally. It just kind of fell into place like that and
I love that.
got kind of lucky.
You said I on your menu, I was looking, do you have two different kinds of ribs, or is that just at one point sometimes you added a different type of
No,
rib?
I've done like Nashville hot ribs. At Porchetta, we do Nashville hot chicken sandwiches,
Okay.
and so I've done a lot of that, the hot oil and the Nashville hot dust, and so
How
it's
does
like
that work for
this
ribs?
is
How does that taste? That sounds good.
I loved it. They sold really well, and I actually saw Smoketown do it a couple weeks before, and I was thinking about it, but then I'm like, am I just gonna put the dust on top, or am I actually gonna do the hot oil
Yeah.
and do the dip? And then they dipped it, and just seeing the finished product was like, okay, yes, and it just kind of clicked of like, I need to do this now because that just looks
Wow.
phenomenal.
We're
So
talking
let's
Smoketown
stop putting this.
from Texas, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, where it's like, let's stop putting this on the back burner as just, kind of keeping it there as like, one day we're going to do this. And it's like, no, that like with the dip, they look phenomenal. Let's just do it.
That's
Uh,
cool.
it was a bit of a pain doing, back in the summer, I was doing service outside. And so you're putting the dust on, and then you just have a gust of wind where I had a guy helping me out at the time, and he's putting it on. He was doing most of service, so I could just do the POS and be out talking to people and making sure that everyone was taken care of. And gust of wind happened, and it went right in his eye,
Oh,
and he was not happy. He was like, "We are not doing this again." And it's like, okay, well, maybe not for a little bit, but we're definitely doing it again.
yeah. Not outside, maybe. Or not maybe you got like a wind buffer or something so that way. Because that would I've gotten some hot stuff in my eyes too, and it sucks.
Yeah, cayenne powder straight to the eyeball, and
Yeah, it's not
not a good time.
not the best.
Not ideal.
And then also too, don't you do pork belly too, or is that just
Yeah,
tough?
so I do. At first, it was just um because I'll rotate between doing like pork belly style, like pork belly as a brisket and
Oh
burnt
yeah, I saw
ends.
that.
And so I did it the first time, not really knowing if anyone was even gonna like it.
Yeah.
Because people here, aside from your like traditional like Chinese pork belly, you don't see it that often.
Mm.
And so really wasn't sure. And it's been one of the best sellers.
Oh,
Like
cool.
it that and the Texas Twinkies almost sell out before brisket, which is kind of
Wow.
crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
Uh like yeah, everybody loves it. So that by June that became a mainstay where I have it every weekend.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll go heavier, sometimes I'll, only do half and use the other half of the belly to make some burnt ends or something. And
Gotcha.
then that I'll try to do a different glaze every week. So it's, you're getting, the
Yeah.
same burnt ends, but at least a different flavor. So
Yeah.
it's, something different.
Wow, that's cool that people get a chance to try something different every week because, that's not always the case with every place.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, the one nice thing about pop-ups where, you're buying all this product for one service. That was when I was still only at Black Lab. And, so it's not like, if you're in a brick and mortar doing service every day, if you're going to run a special one day, you're kind of just ordering in a bunch, and then it's a little more difficult to change the menu every day.
Yeah.
But
Unless
so
you're
that's
unless
like,
it's the bear and you can just do it any
yeah,
which
yes,
made no
that's
fucking sense. Sorry.
yeah, no, to do fine dining, different menu every day. Good luck.
Yeah, so
Sounds like a
I'm gonna include
nightmare.
that. But it was like this last season. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Anyway, so it's a
Yeah, no, it's
but go on.
so it's being a little bit, you know, with just doing one service a week. Okay, you can kind of
Yeah,
plan.
you could play and
You use all of it. Whatever's left, sometimes I'll back seal. Like if I have, a few brisket leans left, I'll back seal and save it to do sandwiches. Other than that, it just becomes my pit
yeah.
snack for the following week after I back seal it. But
Do you do sandwiches
uh,
at all? I didn't even notice that. Did you? Is that something on your now?
I've done it once. It was they call it Snoopy Palooza. It was the owner of the brewery and the dog that the brewery is named after. Both their birthdays on the same day. So they have this big event and it gets packed. And so we did. One of the bartenders there is a phenomenal baker, and so he made marble rye
Uh,
from scratch, and
oh,
he made deli mustard using the beer from the brewery. And I took some of our mustard that we make at Porchetta, and so we did pastrami and pulled pork sandwiches,
oh,
and the pastrami like two different types of mustard on each bun. The homemade marble rye, you got like two slices of lean, two slices of fatty. The pastrami, stack it up, and that went crazy fast.
I
That
could
I
see
think
that.
sold out in like an hour. And now it's been like, okay, we need to do this like once a month. Uh,
Yes, yes.
and so we're planning to do it again the weekend that I get back from Troubadour
Wow.
because it's just, I mean, it makes for an easier service, not as much on the go. Just you know, two different sandwiches,
Yeah.
nice and quick. People aren't waiting quite as long. Um, and with something like that, it's like it just moves so
Yeah.
quickly.
And it's
Like we were
something so
done.
good too.
Yeah, I mean it
It's a
turned out really
win-win
well.
for customers and for you.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate there was nothing left because I'm like I would really like to have one of these sandwiches. Like it's it the pastrami turned out great and the bread that he made 8 or 9 loaves and they were all like picture perfect. Where it's like okay, I really want one, but if there's one person in line that doesn't get because I ate one,
Mhm.
I know I'm just gonna be so angry with myself. So
Yeah. And that
kind of
happens a lot. Like
gotta hold off and
when I
yeah.
worked at barbecue places, you'd like you're so hungry and whatever, and then everything's gone. You're like, oh well, next time maybe.
Yeah, usually I'll like, save myself a sausage or something. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, that's my little snack.
Yeah.
Make a
And
little
also
foldy
do
or
yeah. And sometimes like after you've done all that, you don't even feel like that type of food. Like you just want to eat something else or yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think at this point, like you always hear people say it of like, if I never ate brisket again, I wouldn't be disappointed. Like when people ask, like, oh, so like what's your favorite on your menu? I'm like, I don't really eat it. Like like you
So
said, you spend, 10 to 14 hours cooking
yeah.
day. By the time you're finished, you've been smelling it that whole time, which like it smells incredible, but it almost, kind of takes away from how hungry you are a little bit, and you're just
Yeah.
like, I don't really want to eat this right now.
Well, look at someone like Blake hadn't had brisket like in what 6 months or something like that. I'm like, really? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. Like but it makes all the sense. It makes all the sense.
I think if Blake started eating his brisket or his barbecue, all the pizza joints in the area, like I think Domino's would stop selling to him. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Or or what does he get? The poke place, or he gets like a
Oh,
like pho or something, and
being
ramen.
heavy on the poke. In our group chat, he was just saying he'll pick up 4 to 5 bowls at a time, and that's his meal for the next 2 days.
Yeah, but it's always but it is something like he'll be like it's like a Cajun creating catfish like or some kind like he like does something different with every meal and a lot of times like he used to send me pictures. It'd be like he stopped at like not Son maybe Sonic and then he went to some other place like 2 times like on the way home. Like he wouldn't just go to one place and get everything. He would go like to 2 places. Yeah, funny.
Yeah, no, heavy on the Casey's pizza,
Yeah,
everything topped in the Nashville spice, and
I love it. It's funny. It's but also too, it's like you're expending so much energy and so much. It's like you need calories. You need something before you crash, and then yeah, start it all over again.
oh yeah, no, I've probably gained 20 to 25 pounds since
Yeah,
getting back into barbecue and starting pop-ups.
yeah,
And it's everyone thinks it's from eating all this brisket, and it's like just the sugar
yeah.
that I all the like C plus and like all the cokes that I'll drink during the cook
Mhm.
to like
Stay
try
awake
to
and
stay awake, and it's
yeah,
like so much sugar,
yeah.
so much sugar.
When I went on the road for 3 weeks around Oregon, I lost like 20 something because I was so tired at night. I wasn't even like interested in food. Like going to bed to get up again. Like it's just, but then when I got home, then I started like I to be able to do all this editing and do all this stuff, I'm not, you got to eat things or do things. I just out of the norm. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on a road trip when you're just guzzling down beef jerky,
Yeah.
like you're just like straight protein,
Yeah, exactly,
you're
exactly,
gonna lose weight pretty
exactly.
quick.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, like if anytime I saw ice cream, I just ate it, and I just never gained any weight. Oh, it was great. It was cool. But so then, so now you're, so they could find you every Friday for sure. This is, and
Every Friday till the end of October.
okay,
Starting November at Black Lab, we're switching to Sundays,
okay,
just to pair it better with football. And we're gonna start service at noon. Uh, we're gonna go. We're still gonna have brisket and ribs, but we're gonna probably do more football friendly sort of menu of
okay,
get a whole lot of smoked wings and probably some sandwiches and stuff along those lines.
okay,
And have the football games on the TV with sound and do that. And then I'll be at the other spot, Old Flame, either on Friday or Saturdays. But
okay.
I update the Instagram bio with the most up to date information
So
on
Instagram's
where
the
I'm going to
best way
be.
to follow
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah. I
Instagram, but
try to
also,
keep the website.
yeah,
I try to keep the website updated. Sometimes it's tough to remember when get home from the cook and you're trying to order for the next day and
yeah.
remember to update Instagram and like get back to people and remember to
Well,
do all the admin work. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
so that tends to fall by the wayside a little bit. So that's not the menu is accurate. I pretty much have everything that might be featured on the menu there.
Okay,
Um, and it's usually just kind of bits and pieces each week.
okay. So in that, because that shows your sides, and then is it dessert? Is it made? Did someone? I thought I saw your girlfriend makes the desserts or something, or
Yeah, she's a crazy good baker. During COVID, she got really into it. She started like a
wow.
dessert Instagram page. I think it's called the Sweet Jar by Julia, and
Okay.
it's like just these crazy, crazy cakes where it's like, like you're just doing this for fun, but like, like you could you could make money, like you could do this professionally. But she's oh, there goes the dog.
Yeah.
Uh, she's a nurse, so she works crazy, crazy hours. So
Okay.
she'll like help me out with service whenever she can. If she's working and unable to, she'll try to cram and make all the dessert and get it to me before she starts work.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, she does the banana pudding and she does it like topped with Biscoff.
Oh,
And I took one bite, and before that, it was like either I would do it or my mother would help out, and she would do it if I just had too much on the go and couldn't find enough time to actually do it. And it was like, it was good. Not like, you take a bite and you're just like, holy crap, good. But you take one
yeah.
bite of that and it's like, I need four of these.
Wow.
Like it is crazy. So that's gonna be the mainstay dessert. I think she wants to do something with pumpkin spice. Um, moving into the end of
Oh yeah.
October, but yeah, when she asked, I was just like, it's like your desserts are so good. Like, don't even
Oh, that's
ask.
so
You
killer.
just like you run with it, do whatever you want because it's like it's
I,
gonna be phenomenal.
I love that. That's so great. So then do you think down the line, do you want to have a brick and mortar, or is that something that you would hope for? Or
Yeah, ideally, I'm kind of in the place where because you always hear, everyone that's established already, you know, once a year they'll always post, oh, remember when we were just, doing pop-ups here, like when we were
yeah.
on this little smoker. And so I'm trying to just enjoy the journey and
Okay.
not get too far ahead of myself. Um, ideally, we'd go brick and mortar eventually.
Would it be
I'm
in
still trying
Toronto
to
or?
um, Toronto or out west, um, in like Vancouver area,
Oh,
BC.
cool.
Uh, ideally, I'm still trying to keep the option open of
It's gorgeous there.
getting
It's beautiful.
getting a work visa and
Yeah.
and coming down to either Tennessee or Texas. So I'm still
You never know.
trying to stay hopeful for that, but uh, if that doesn't happen or it's time for brick and mortar before that comes around, then that's
Okay.
going to be the route. And if I can, make it down to Tennessee or Texas after that, then just gonna have to figure it out. But
Yeah. That's cool.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm glad I got a hold of you at this is like the start, almost the starting of your little adventure. it's almost the start of your, not your big adventure. It's not a little adventure, but I'm glad I'm getting a hold of you now because now you'll get a chance to look back at these. And as long as the internet still exists and we still have a planet and everything, you can take a look at it and see, laugh at different things or see what your mindset was. And I kind of like to document. So maybe a year from now or, year and a half from now, we do this again. And I'd like to, you know, keep in touch. And I would love to meet you in person somewhere. Maybe it'll be in at Blake's, maybe it'll be somewhere else, or maybe it'll be up there. I'd like to do a Canadian trip too. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you've just spoke to a few of them.
Yeah.
Uh, the barbecue around Ontario is,
Yeah.
a lot of people that go down to Texas. There's a guy, Adam McMillan, Jesse's Q in Hamilton, who goes down a bunch with the Zavala's boys,
Okay.
uh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and another guy that he's cooking on 500-gallon offset, and there's kind of an influx here of people that
Yeah.
see everything that's going on, respect the process, and want to pay tribute to it and
Love it.
want to do it justice. And it's really starting to boom. There's 5 or 6 places that are putting out some very, very good food.
That would be a fun trip, and that would be so worthwhile. And it's just nice to get out of the United States and get over. And
Yeah,
also, like, I can't wait to live up more in the Pacific Northwest because I love going to Vancouver. Vancouver's has become more dense since it's been about 20 years since I've been there. But when you get
yeah.
on the coast up there, it's just
I mean, it's still beautiful. Any direction, you're just looking at mountains, and
Mhm. Trees.
it's yeah, just it's a beautiful province.
Yeah.
Uh, Vancouver is a beautiful, beautiful city,
Yeah.
and the people. It's a different way of
Food.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely different than the East Coast of Canada. It's
Yeah.
yeah. And I've been to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg is kind of reminds me of kind of like the
Ooh,
middle, the
I'm
middle.
I'm sorry.
Hey, no,
Yeah,
I drove cross country when I was 19. My friend and I, we drove for 2 months cross country. We wanted to get to Maine. That was our goal. But we crisscrossed into Canada. Went to Vancouver, went to Winnipeg, we went to Ontario because Lake Ignace or something. There's somewhere in Ontario. His family's from Ontario, his dad's side.
okay.
And so we stayed at their little, like it was like a little cabin on the water. It was killer. It was really neat. But it was just going every time we went to Canada, you could drink at 19. So that
Yeah.
was part of the fun. And we were camping, so we'd like drink and then safely camp somewhere. And but it was just nice to be somewhere else. So we even went to Victoria, which is a little
Oh,
cheesy,
that's
but really fun.
no, Victoria's beautiful. That's actually where I went to university.
Oh,
So
really?
I spent 3 years there. Yeah, it's a
Ah,
beautiful city.
well, I was
It's
so young, I was
like
just drunk,
yeah,
sadly.
I mean it is very good for that. It's
No,
pretty
but
much
because
all
don't they have
students
like
or
a rose
retirees.
garden? It's like I should go visit there again.
It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
a city, but it has small town vibes. Like there's no skyscrapers. I think the highest building is 12 stories,
Oh, I love that.
but it's beautiful. You have the Parliament buildings, the like Empress Hotel, which is like where the Queen stayed when she came
Oh,
over back in
oh.
the day, and
I was
it's
too
like
young to really appreciate it. Like I love architecture now and I love all that. Okay. So you went to university there?
yeah, University of Victoria,
Oh, okay.
and yeah,
That's cool.
fun 3 years.
Yeah.
I basically majored in drinking because didn't do a whole lot of studying.
Well, it's funny too, because like I think we had to, if I'm thinking correctly, we had to take a ferry from like
Yeah,
up
from
by like
Vancouver.
I think we were like
It's the ferry terminals in it's called Tawasin.
okay.
It's just I think it's like 45 minutes from Vancouver.
But I thought we were
And
on
then
the
you basically
Olympia side. I thought we were like over to the Washington side and we came.
oh there is another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's one that you can take from Washington to Victoria.
that's the one.
Um that's not quite as scenic, the one from Vancouver to Victoria,
Oh, I'm sure
because
it's
there's so many small little islands. So
yeah.
you can't just straight shoot it. You have to kind of weave in between.
Oh,
And so you're always seeing like whales and dolphins, and it's so beautiful.
well, the islands off the coast of Washington are killer too, like Orca Island, and
Mhm.
there's like about four. There's a guy like a barbecue guy. I forget who he was. He went, and then now he owns an inn on one of those
Oh,
islands.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, that
he's a
that would
chef.
be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, that's cool. I don't know how he did during. He got it right before the pandemic, so I feel
Oh,
that might have been. I don't know if he. I need to write him and see if he's still around because that's timing's everything, especially
Yeah.
who knew that. But is there anything that before I go, because I do need to jump to help my mom. Is there anything that we missed or anything you want people to know? It's the Pampered Pig.
Yeah, my Instagram handle is just Pampered Pig BBQ.
Mhm.
I think we pretty much touched on
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
This was great. Really
Um,
great talking to you. It was so easy. It was just such a normal conversation. I love this is the kind of interview I love.
yeah, yeah, no, it was great to be on, like I said earlier, kind of a full circle moment.
That's cool, man.
And
Thank
yeah, no,
you.
great to finally meet you. Been, listening for so long. So
Well,
it's
thank you for doing
awesome
that.
to be on this side of it. And yeah, hopefully end of February,
Yeah.
uh Blake and I are going down to Nashville to see Zach Top at the Ryman.
Okay. Oh, the
So
Ryman too. Oh, that's such a.
yeah.
I want to go to the Ryman. I think with Jason, my friend Sheldon Mason. I don't even know if he does much anymore, but he went and saw Jason Isbell there, and I'm like, oh, that would have been
Oh,
just so
yeah,
great.
that's one of the things where it's like need to see a show there.
Oh yeah,
Just
definitely.
all that history.
Just to
And
soak it in. Yeah, the
yeah, so
walls.
yeah, I'm planning on going
Ah,
a little bit early. So I think it's February 28th. So
okay. All right.
yeah,
I'll
if the
keep.
schedule works out and you want to make a little trip to East Tennessee.
Might as well. No, I definitely. And I want to go to. No, I want to go to Blake's. I want to go to B.E. Scott's so badly. Like it's there's and then his Jack's Creek, and then I want to see
Mhm.
like Peg Leg Porker. I want to go see. I want to see Matt. I mean Pat Martin. I want to see a bunch of those guys like in person
Yeah.
at their places. Like I've seen them other places, but
All right, have a good one.
all
Thank
right,
you.
you too. Bye.